From the News Channel 5 network, this is SportsLine.
Good evening, Nashville. Welcome to SportsLine on what has been a very momentous day across the sports world. The big story today, of course, the NBA postponing all three of its NBA playoff games today as the Milwaukee Bucks boycotted their game early this afternoon with the Orlando Magic in protest of the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin of Jacob Blake, a unarmed black man by police. Several leagues have followed suit since then. A couple of Major League Baseball games have been canceled or postponed. And right now, Nashville SC taking on Orlando City FC in MLS soccer. This will be the only game on the MLS schedule tonight. All other scheduled games for tonight have been postponed, as well as the sports world taking action and taking to protest against the death of Jacob Blake. We'll get to those stories a little bit later on in the show, but right now, coming up this Saturday night on News Channel 5 Plus, you can see the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremonies that will take place this Saturday. And one of the inductees is, quite frankly, one of our favorites here in Nashville. He is the two-time national championship coach of the Vanderbilt baseball team. We welcome in Tim Corbin to the show via Zoom. Coach, great to see you tonight. How are you? Thanks so much for being here.
I'm doing great, Jonathan. It's always good to see you.
Coach, it's been quite a day today. I want to talk all about your success and you going into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, but you're as good a person as any to talk about what's going on right now in the sports world. I'm sure you were an NBA fan growing up in New England, a big Celtics fan, I'm guessing. I'm from New York. I was a Knicks fan, 76er fan. To see what has happened with the NBA and what they did today, just what is your early reaction to what's going on, not only in the NBA, but seemingly growing in the sports world right now?
Well, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration. There's a lot of frustration in our handling of certain affairs that have occurred over the past year, but well beyond that. As I've spoken to our kids on many occasions, there's been a lot of gas on the ground for a long period of time, and at certain points, we've lit fires, and those fires are very combustible, and they certainly affect a lot of people. And because of that, at least today, the players took it upon themselves to do something they felt very strongly about, and that is, we can only talk about these things so long, and sooner or later some actions have to take place. And as far as the NBA is concerned, I think they spoke loudly and proudly about how they feel about this particular situation.
Coach, well said as always. All right, let's get to why you're on tonight. You're going into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame officially this Saturday night, a well-deserved honor for you. I remember when you were having your weekly press conference during the season before COVID-19 shut things down, and then all of a sudden Brad Willis from the Hall of Fame came in and kind of interrupted things and let you know that you were going into this year's class. What was your reaction then, and what is your reaction now as you're just a couple of nights away from officially going into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame?
No, I was certainly surprised, John. I mean, I didn't expect anything like that. I mean, a lot of times when I hear Hall of Fame, I go, number one, that's not an area I belong. I should stay in my lane. And number two, I'm not old enough. I feel like I'm still 30, but I know I'm 60. But I think the thing that Maggie and I are most prideful is we've just been in the same city for 19 years, and we're very, very fortunate to work at a university, to work in a city, to have friends like yourself, and to meet people like yourself along the way because of it. And, I know how these things come about, but at the root of it, John, it's just about establishing a program, creating an environment where kids can grow. And we've tried to do that. And because of that, we've got some plaudits along the way and able to win some games. But it doesn't change anything for me, but certainly tremendous recognition. And that class is full of a lot of superstars. And in a lot of ways, I look at it and go, this isn't the lane I belong driving in, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're going to be joining the likes of former Titans head coach Jeff Fisher, of course, beloved Predators announcer Terry Crisp, of course, the first hockey-related figure to go into the Sports Hall of Fame. Coach, you mentioned it. You and your wife have been here for 2 decades now, and you guys have really become part of the Nashville culture. And you and I have talked about this several times before. Just the fact that the Vanderbilt baseball program is not just, West End. It's not just Vanderbilt University. You've become a big part of Nashville. Those 2 national championships that you won, those were celebrated by everybody here in the city and all of Middle Tennessee. And that has to be very special to you to know that you've had such a positive effect on this area and this community.
Well, we're very appreciative of it. We don't take it for granted one bit. I think the thing that Maggie and I have always tried to do is be community people first, and Vanderbilt led us to do that. But at the same time, even though you can work somewhere, it doesn't necessarily mean that you get yourself entrenched in the fabric of the community. And we've always enjoyed that. We've enjoyed the people here. They've made it easy. It's always seemed like a city in jeans to us. It's very comfortable. We live close to the university, so it's allowed us to do a lot of things in and around the university. As you know, we go out to dinner every night, so that's something that we enjoy. But we do it not only for us, but to see people, to be out and about, and that's important. And then also to be part of the camps that we have. I think that in and of itself has allowed us to at least stimulate baseball in the Vanderbilt community, and we just enjoyed being around kids. And there's so many kids, Jon, that haven't come to Vanderbilt, but yet I feel like we've developed a relationship to help them move to where they wanted to go from a collegiate standpoint or even beyond. So we really enjoy our lifestyle here. It's not a job, and we're very fortunate to have what we have.
Tim Corbin is our guest, the 2-time national championship coach of the Vanderbilt baseball team. He will join this year's class of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame this Saturday night. Officially, you can watch the ceremonies right here on NewsChannel 5 Plus Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Always great to have Coach Corbin with us. Coach, take me back to when you first got here and took over this program. What were your expectations? Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, feel like you could build this program to where it is now? As we said, a couple of national championships, really one of the more respected programs, not only in SEC baseball, but all of the Southeastern Conference.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know if I had expectations. I had a vision. I do know that. I think expectations, a lot of times, if you have them, you can get your heart broken. But I did have a vision for creating an environment for guys that could grow. I do know that. And I wanted to be part of what they were doing. I wanted to be part of helping them mature. And I wanted to use baseball as a platform to do that. And now, once we got involved in the sport and developed players and started recruiting efforts that were, I think started by David Price, at least from a standpoint of locally, and that grew beyond David. I think we were fortunate to attract people not only in greater Nashville and Tennessee, but throughout the country. And then our success started to develop a little bit. But I think our success really started to develop when our focus was more on the development of the kids and their well-being and their mental well-being. And I think with that, I really felt like, the scoreboard in a lot of different ways. Bill Walsh would always say this, but it did take care of itself. It did. Once we started focusing on the things I think that really mattered to kids, I think in a lot of different ways our success just came naturally.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned David Price. I believe he had a birthday today. What, he turned 35? That's making us both feel old. Dansby Swanson hit a 2-run homer today for the Braves in a win over the Yankees off Garrett Cole, no less. And, it seems like every night on the highlights, we're always, highlighting your former players, whether it's Sonny Gray, whether it's Dansby, whether it's David Price, who I know opted to sit out the season this year due to COVID-19, whether it's Walker Buehler. I mean, it's got to make you beam with pride to see so many of these kids that you molded and shaped go on to have great careers and, make good livings in Major League Baseball.
It does. I mean, I am thankful that they get the opportunity to play beyond here. You mentioned those players, a guy like Mike Yastrzemski, who's a 4-year player here. He's done so well and had such an impact on the Major League game. But I think at the end of it, it's I don't know if you and I talked about this or not, but I think the tragedy that occurred at the beginning of the year with Kobe Bryant, and I relay this to our kids so many times, is in my way of thinking, losing Kobe was so detrimental to so many people, just from the standpoint of there was a guy that was transitioning from basketball, one of the best ever, into just a regular lifestyle, and he wasn't insulating himself, and he was using his other skill sets. And I think that's the area where our kids, I want them to grow the most. Yeah, they go off and play Major League Baseball, and that's great. That's great satisfaction. It's a way to build wealth. But at the end of it, I think what's most important for me to see them is how they transition into regular life with their relationships and their kids. And you mentioned Sonny, you mentioned David Price. I mean, those are two dads right now with multiple kids and successful relationships. And that's the part that I think, from a modeling standpoint, like Kobe Bryant, that other players in our program now can see and say, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to play baseball, but at the end of it, I want to be more than a baseball player. And I think that's the part that makes me proud of all those kids.
Talking with Vanderbilt baseball coach Tim Corbin. And Tim, it's funny you mentioned Kobe Bryant. I forgot that that was this year. Obviously, 2020 has been a crazy year with COVID-19, and because of that, you and your team were not able to defend your national championship. I know it was disappointing at first, and you've been in contact with your kids. What have you learned, you think, through this whole process of the disappointment of not being able to play this year, and probably having to say goodbye to some guys that you were counting on to have good years this year?
I think, once again, it was just another reminder that things can be taken away from us at any time, and we have to adjust. And with them coming back, John, it's been great to see them again. But at the same time, I did not want them to involve themselves in self-pity and think about what they lost, because a lot of those kids had things and had memories that no other collegiate baseball player had. You look at hockey players, you look at basketball players, they all lost opportunities to play for a national championship, and our season got cut short. But, at the end of it, we're 6 months sitting here later, and we look back and we look at the things that we gained from it. And I think a lot of these kids got tremendous insight to their families again, which they never would have gained had they been playing. And I just think, at least for Maggie and I, it got us to take a trip that we've never taken. I mean, we've never been on a honeymoon before. So, selfish. I know that I shouldn't even say that, John. But selfishly, it gave us an opportunity to do something we've never done before. So we traveled throughout the country and saw things that I've never laid my eyes on. So I think there's a lot of positives, and time will get better. We're in a dark tunnel right now, but we're going to get out of that tunnel at some point. And I just want our kids to be very deliberate in how they're living right now. I don't want them to be timid, but I want them to be very clear about what this is and how they can navigate their way through it.
Tim, I'm curious to know, you've been known as such a great father figure for your players, as well as a terrific head coach, obviously. Who are some of your mentors coming up as a coach, as an athlete, whatever?
Well, I'd say Don Meyer. I mean, Don Meyer was a mentor for me in so many different ways, and I got to meet him, selfishly for me, later in his life. I met him in 2003, and then we had that relationship right on through until the year he passed, which was right before our national championship. I didn't know her well, but we had a good relationship, and that was Pat Summitt. I mean, Pat is in the Tennessee Hall of Fame, and I've read every single book that she has been a part of, and because I'm such a basketball fan like yourself, I was just intrigued with her in a relationship with her girls and how she coached and how she kept an edge to herself. I thought that was so sad when she passed because, she was still young, but I always looked at her as a mentor from afar. So, I look at people, whether they're coaches or of other sports, it's more about a relational experience that I see in coaches with their kids that kind of draws me to them.
Wow, no question about it. Coach, who will What do you think the night will be like when you get inducted into the Hall of Fame this Saturday? I know it's kind of a virtual thing. There won't be, the pomp and circumstance and the crowds there and all that kind of stuff. But what will you look back on fondly the most as you accept your induction into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame?
Just opportunity, John. I wanted to be a school teacher in the state of New Hampshire. That was it, and now I'm a college coach in Tennessee. I mean, I think it's just the fact that someone gave me an opportunity, and there have been many people to do what I'm doing, and we're so lucky. I mean, and I say so because it's our family. I mean, Maggie and the girls and I just look at this as a treasure. This is a team effort, and we look at it as a family effort, and we also look at it as a team effort from Vanderbilt. But we're just so fortunate to have the lifestyle that we have because of all these relationships that we come in contact with. And I think at the end of it, I know it's a beautiful award, and I'm so grateful of it. But beyond that, it's the opportunity that we had that gave me the opportunity to be in this situation. And I'll always be grateful for it, John. I always will. I'm very emotional about it. I hope Maggie wants to watch it. I think she will. She will. But I think that's what we'll talk about most.
Well, Coach, Vanderbilt University is lucky to have you. The city of Nashville is lucky to have you. You've been a class act from day one. And congratulations on making it to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. It is an honor well deserved. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to cover you. And I wish you all the success in the world. Have fun Saturday night.
Thank you very much, John. I feel the same way, and I appreciate you.
Absolutely. There he is, Tim Corbin, taking his rightful place into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. I want to thank Brad Willis from the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame for helping us set up tonight's interview. We'll take our first break. We'll come back right after this.